So watch me transform my beautiful client from this to this. If this is what you'd like to see, keep on watching. So please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. So first thing first, I'm going to be using my wipe to clean up the face. This would help to remove dirt and oil on the face. Then I went ahead using my Kiss Beauty green tea to hydrate her skin. After which I dried it up using my fan. After that, I had to moisturize her face with my Cetaphil moisturizer. So make sure you always moisturize the face. Use any good moisturizer that you have. It's always important to moisturize whether you have oily skin or dry skin. So after moisturizing the face, I let it dry into the skin before I went ahead using my hydrating primer. So I'm going to be using this Omari Code hydrating primer all over her face because she has a dry skin. So after I applied the hydrating primer all over the face, I let it dry into the skin before I went ahead using my TM Essential primer on her face. This would help the makeup to last. So hydrating primer helps the makeup to be dewy, and because she's going for an occasion, I had to add this other primer which would help the makeup to last. So after applying the primer all over the face, I let it dry into the skin before I went ahead applying this foundation. This is Glam's Girl foundation in the shade 35. So I'm using my damp beauty sponge to blend it into the skin. So after blending the foundation into the skin, I'm going to be locking it up with the same spray. After that, I let it dry before I went ahead to contour. For contour, I'm going to be using my Zikel foundation in the shade 020 to contour her face. So whenever you want to contour the face, use a shade that is 2 shades darker than your skin to contour your face. After that, I went ahead mixing these 3 shades from my Blossom lip palette and apply it above her contour and a little bit on the tip of her nose. After which I used my beauty sponge to blend. So can you see how well blended it looks already? So next I'm going to be highlighting her face with this Milani concealer in the shade 145. After that, I used my beauty sponge to blend the concealer on the highlighted area. So after blending it, I'm going to be using the same shade I used to contour her face to contour her nose. So next I added a little bit of this creamy beige concealer from LA. I'm just going to apply it on the inner corner of her face because I want this area to be well highlighted, and I blended it using my beauty sponge. So next is to set the concealer. I'm going to be using my merak setting powder in the shade Ginger to set the concealer on the highlighted area. Before setting, I went ahead using my beauty sponge to blend the areas underneath her eyes to avoid creasing. Then after that, I used my beauty sponge to set. So while setting, you need to be light-handed, take it one step at a time, and do not pack too much setting powder so it doesn't look cakey and it doesn't break. So gently set and you will get a good result. So after setting the concealer, next is to set the rest of her face. I'm going to be using my Milani compact powder in the shade Light to set the rest of her face. So when you're setting the rest of the face, make sure you use the exact shade of your powder to set the rest of your face. So avoid to use a lighter shade of your skin color or a darker shade. Make sure it's your exact skin shade. This would help the makeup to balance well. So after that, I'm going to be setting the cream contour I did. So I'm just going to mix these two shades from my Becharm powder palette to set the areas I applied the cream contour. So after that, I used this light shade from the same powder palette. I'm just going to apply it on the areas I highlighted. So after that, I used my powder brush to blend everything together. So if I'm going to be setting her nose with this shade from the same powder palette to enhance the nose.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away. Cause every time I wake up, I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All the
After that, I went back using my powder brush to blend everything again. You always need to blend in order to achieve a smooth like finish. So next I'm going to be setting the face. This would help to reduce the brightness on the face and helps it sit properly into the skin. Then after that, I dried it up using my fan. You need to let it dry properly before you bake. So next I'm going to be baking with the same setting powder I used to set her face.
maybe we could be okay. Okay, okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain. I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way.
So I went back using that brush I used in applying the contour. I went back using the brush to blend again.
But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.
Moving on to the brows, I'm going to be using my spoolie brush to brush her brows first. Then I went ahead using my brow time to lay the brows nicely. So next is to draw her brows. I'm going to be using my carrot gel liner and my angled brush to draw the outline following the shape of her brows. After that, I used my Milani concealer, the one I used to highlight her face, to highlight her brows. Then I blended the concealer with my blending brush. So whenever I'm in a haze doing somebody's makeup, or maybe I have other clients, I don't really highlight the top of the brow. The reason why I did this is because of the thing I needed to correct on the top of her brows. So I make sure I outline the brows properly in a way that it won't require highlighting the top of the brows. So after this, I'm going to be setting the concealer with this light shade from the same powder palette. So this, I'm going to be using this shade and apply it on the inner corner of her lid. So next is to prime her lid. I'm going to be using this Viange eyeshadow base to prime her lid. So moving on to eyeshadow, I'm going to be using this shade from my Blossom eyeshadow palette. I'm just going to apply it on the outer corner of her lid, then blending it towards the inner corner of her lid. So next I'm going to be applying this shade from the same powder palette to blend out the eyeshadow. So after blending everything together, I'm going to be using this darker shade from the same powder palette and apply it on the outer corner of her lid. After which I used the same brush to blend. So after that, I added a little setting powder on the outer corner of her lid. After applying it, I used this color from the same eyeshadow palette. I'm just gonna apply it on the inner corner of her lid. So next I'm going to be applying this shade from the same eyeshadow palette. I'm just gonna apply it here. So after that, I'm going to be adding this pigment, these two shades. This is a golden color. I'm just gonna apply this shade on the inner corner. So before I apply my pigment, I usually spray the brush with my setting spray before placing the pigment on the lid. That this would help the pigment to pop and helps it relax properly on the lid. So after applying it, next thing I did was to blend. So make sure you always blend it, blend it, blend it. So moving on to the next process, I'm going to be lining her upper and lower lash line with my Carrot gel liner. After that, I went ahead to prep her natural lashes with my Zaron mascara and also give it volume. So next I'm going to be applying this Hega and Esther orange blush on her cheeks. After which I added this peach color from my Tara eyeshadow palette. So next I'm going to be wearing her these lashes. So I went back using that same Milani compact powder to blend again. So moving on to the lip, I'm going to be using this shade from my Blossom lip palette to outline her lip. So after lining the lip, I'm going to be applying this New Balm Beauty lip stain in the middle just to brighten up the lip. Next, I used my brush to blend. So next, I'm going to be adding some gloss. So next I'm going to be using my powder brush to blend. Make sure you blend everything to avoid harsh lines and excess powder on the face. So next I'm going to be using this shade of powder to dust off the excess powder underneath her eyes. After that, I went back with that same brush I used to contour her face. I went back using that brush to, blend the areas I contoured. After blending, I went ahead using the brush I used in applying blush. I just used the brush to blend again because I want to achieve a smooth like finish. Blending is the key to not be in a haste. Make sure everything is well blended. Then after blending, I'm going to be setting the face with the same Kiss Beauty spray. After setting the face, I'm going to let it dry. After drying, I went ahead to apply highlighter on the areas I want the highlights to pop. After that, I used my powder brush to blend everything together. So next, I'm going to be applying this mismetic cheek glaze on the areas I want the face to glow. This helps the face to glow. After that, I'm going to be applying mascara on her lower lashes. So after that, I used my powder brush to blend again for the last time. Then I used my Kiss Beauty spray to set the face for the last time. Then after setting the face, I'm going to let it dry properly into the skin. So after drying, I'm going to be sealing it up with this So Pro Sealing Spray. This would help the makeup to last, and after that it will dry up. We'll let it dry, and this is the final look. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much guys for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.